From American actors who became governors, the former later elected president, the latter known for the phrase,
"I'll be back."
2. Chima and Chinua, two of Africa's most famous authors who, though not related, by some freaky coincidence, lived in the same house several years apart. And sadly, things did fall apart. 2. American T. Reeves and German M. Schumacher, Formula One aficionados, born on the same day. From America's first black ballerina to Robert Ballard. From Indian author, teacher of yoga, BKS Iyengar, who reminds us that we're not getting any younger, to the drama in Bahama and the rumble in the jungle, a killer and a chiller and the thriller in Manila, to Malala and Lilibeth, the former whose son almost set in the SWAT district from an assassin's bullet, the latter Her Royal Majesty, whose empire the sun, it was said, never set, to the exquisite beauty of our expansive, expanding, and majestic universe. Whatever takes your fancy, there's something for everyone right here, right now. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimama and this is Today in History for the 21st of January. Join me as we journey through history and I share important events as recorded on this day in history. Coming up in today's Today in History, as promised yesterday, so go check out my video from yesterday and you'll see what I mean. A famous fashion designer is going to be featured today. Also, the first woman in the United States to have both a mechanic's license and a commercial pilot's license. There's a little bit of a surprise here as well. Also, traveling at supersonic speed, it made history on this day. I'm sure you can guess what that is. Of course, I have lots more. Stick around and all will be revealed. First, let us start with this guy called Huddie William Ledbetter. So, pictured here is Mr. Ledbetter, Huddie William Ledbetter. As you can see from this picture, yes, he was a musician. He was born on this day in 1885, better known by the stage name Lead Belly. He was an American folk and blues singer. He was a musician and songwriter, notable for his strong vocals, virtuosity on the 12-string guitar, and the folk standards he introduced, including his renditions of Goodnight, Irene, Midnight Special, Cotton Fields, and Boll Weevil. His ability to perform a vast repertoire of songs in conjunction with his notoriously violent life made him a legend. So again, Huddie William Ledbetter, pictured here, better known as Lead Belly or Lead Belly, African-American folk and blues singer, musician, and songwriter, noted for his strong vocals, virtuosity on the 12-string guitar, was born on this day. Next, born on this day, famous fashion designer Christian Dior. This is Christian Dior, whose label became an enduring worldwide success. He was born in a place called Granville in France. The year again was 1905. Exactly a year later, in 1906, this is one of the statements I made earlier. This lady's name is Willa Chappell. She was born in a town called Glasgow. Now, this is not Glasgow, Scotland, but Glasgow in Kentucky, the state of Kentucky in the United States of America. She graduated from Indiana State Teachers College, now Indiana State University, and worked as a school teacher at Roosevelt High School, Gary, Indiana, before becoming a pilot. Now, stay with me on this one. This is a bit of a long bio. Now, this lady, inspired by Bessie Coleman, I did feature Bessie Coleman in one of my videos, so go check it out, do a search, or if I find it, I'll put a link here. So, Bessie Coleman, she was inspired by Bessie Coleman. Wheeler, the lady pictured here, started taking flying lessons in 1934 at Chicago's Aeronautical University. Soon, she became a member of the Challenger Air Pilots Association and the Chicago Girls Flight Club and purchased her own airplane. That is crazy. Wonder where she got the money from. Was she loaded from the beginning? Anyway, I'm going to carry on. She earned her pilot's license in 1937. She also earned a master's degree from Northwestern University the same year. Chappell, so Wheeler Chappell, was the first African-American woman to become licensed as a pilot in the United States. Wheeler earned her mechanic's license in 1943 and became the first woman in the United States to have both a mechanic's license and a commercial pilot's license. So the first woman. Now, the surprise I mentioned at the outset was the fact that she was African-American. Okay, I didn't want to put it out there at the outset to say first African-American. She was the first woman, in fact, to have both a mechanic's license and a commercial pilot's license. I'll carry on. While also Wheeler was also, beg your pardon, the first African American in the Civil Air Patrol. Wheeler Chappell was the founder of the National Airmen Association of America. Maybe should have been named Airwomen, wink wink, and trained more than 200 students who became Tuskegee pilots. She and her husband, Cornelius Coffey, owned and operated the first flight school for African Americans. What a bio. Wheeler Brown-Chappell was inducted in the Aviation Hall of Fame in 2003. So my hat goes out to this lady. My hat off to her. And of course my heart also. You know, it's very gratifying to know that there were people like this. There are still people like this who are determined, you know, to break the race barrier, the gender barrier, you know, whatever barriers were placed in front of them, they went in spite of, you know, the barriers, broke this barrier. So there's nothing stopping you and me from achieving our dreams in spite of our disadvantages, race, gender, ethnicity, tribe, whatever it is, country, whatever it is. Just forge ahead. Just keep on going. You know, I believe that no one can ultimately stop you from achieving your dreams if you're determined enough. Determined and disciplined and focused. So, Wheeler Brown-Chappell was born. She was the first woman, basically, to start from the beginning, born on this day in 1906 in Glasgow, first woman to get a pilot's license in the United States, first woman to earn her to get her mechanic's license. Yeah, she made history. So you too can make your own history by becoming the first in whatever field that you want to. You might say, oh, everything has been taken now. There are opportunities in Africa right now. You know, I watch videos about returnee Americans, African Americans, Africans as well, who are making history, you know, millennials especially, building businesses in Africa. And, you know, things are growing like wildfire. So you can be the first to do something in so-called virgin territory. There is a lot to do in Africa. So it's up to you. Doesn't matter what your race is, if you're African or not African, it doesn't matter. The opportunities on the African continent right now. You know, Africa is growing from a much lower base than most of these so-called developed countries. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot that you can give back if you've got the skills and the determination to survive and thrive. Okay, let's move on now to the year 1924. Vladimir Lenin, pictured here, who led the Russian Revolution in 1917 and later served as the first head of the Soviet state, died on this day. So this is Lenin, Vladimir Lenin, who died on this day in 1924. The next important event on this day, Spanish-born singer Placido Domingo, pictured here. Talented Placido Domingo, an operatic tenor whose voice, physical stature, and dramatic ability made him one of the most popular tenors of the late 20th and early 21st centuries, was born in Madrid. Placido Domingo, born on this day in 1941 in Madrid. Spanish-born operatic tenor whose voice, physical stature, and dramatic ability made him one of the most popular tenors of the late 20th and early 21st centuries, was born on this day in Madrid. Billy Ocean was also born on this day in 1950. This is the young Billy Ocean, singer of several #1 hits, including Caribbean Queen, was born on this day in Trinidad. Also born on this day, exactly 3 years later, Paul Allen, Microsoft businessman, born on this day in 1953. So he helped co-found Microsoft, I'm sure you know, with Bill Gates as well. So this is Paul Allen, American businessman, born on this day in 1953. Exactly 10 years later, famous Nigerian-American athlete, basketballer, Hakeem Olajuwon was born. So this is Hakeem Olajuwon, born in Nigeria, spent most of his life in the United States, born on this day in 1963. 1965, exactly 2 years later, Jam Master Jay, the late Jam Master Jay, real name is Jason William Mitchell, late member of the group Run DMC, was born. So this is Jam Master Jay, who was born on this day. Sadly, he was killed, was murdered in 2002. 19 years ago. In 1976, history was made. Yes, I did mention this also at the outset. This was the day in 1976 that the first commercial Concorde flight, which generated a sonic boom as it traveled through the atmosphere at supersonic speed. It was built with funding from the British and French governments. It began regular service on this day in 1976. So the first commercial flight happened on this day in 1976. Again, for those of you who were not born or who were too young to remember that there was such an airplane, a supersonic jet, it's out of service now due to various reasons, but finance being one of them. But this was the day in 1976 that the first commercial Concorde flight flew for the first time. It was a collaboration between the British and French governments. 2017, last but not least, this was the day, again, of course, history was made. Demonstrations known collectively as the Women's March were held throughout the world to support gender equality, civil rights, and other issues that were expected to face challenges under newly inaugurated US President Donald Trump. It was widely believed to be the largest single-day demonstration in US history. Now I'm going to scroll down and show you something that made me chuckle a bit. So now look at that sign there at the bottom, Love Trumps Hate. That's a play on words there, isn't it? Love trumps hate. Of course, again, this demonstration was because women felt that Trump, who had just been sworn in as president, was going to take their civil rights, gender equality was going to be trampled upon. And of course, they were expected to face these challenges under the newly inaugurated US president. Hence, they came out in their droves to demonstrate. And it is believed to be the largest single-day demonstration in US history. So yes, I do agree. Love always trumps hate. So love, don't hate. Don't hate people because of their gender, because of their race, because of their sexual orientation. Just let people be. As long as they're not breaking the law, let people be. On that note, we have almost come to the end of today's Today in History. But before you go anywhere, to be revealed in tomorrow's Today in History, Bacon and Byron. What am I talking about? Find out tomorrow. Also, a Russian mystic, famous Russian mystic, and the first indigene to be elected president of some far-flung country. Also, there is lots more. Join me tomorrow as we journey through history. See you then. Stay safe. See you on the 22nd of January for another exciting and informative edition of Today in History. Thanks for dropping by today, folks. I appreciate you dropping by. I appreciate your support. If you haven't liked this video yet, give me a thumbs up, share this video with your family and friends, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Take care of yourselves. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.